Yeah, so um, let's dive in. Today's our guest is Toby. He's the founder of Ashgrove AI. Am I right?
That's
Yeah,
right,
so
Ashgrove.
great. Yeah, great. And he's going to talk about his personal experience on Upwork and experience of using GeekRater and some useful tips for you guys as well, how to get succeed on Upwork. So yeah, let's start. Now, Toby, the stage is yours.
Perfect. I will jump in and share my screen. So this is my first webinar. So if I jump ahead, it's only because I like to sound my own voice and I want to explain things as thoroughly as possible to you all. So bear with me while I get through this. But the idea of this little webinar, Corlan asked me to jump in and share my experience. And I think the best way for me to share my experiences, how I went from half a bid a day on average to 5 clients in, it's actually more like 30 days on Upwork. I've been with GigRadar now for about 45 days, so I just kept it there. And I did this all with a counterintuitive strategy. So it was actually launching suboptimal campaigns. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means. So men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I had 5 contracts in, again, 30 to 45 days with a 2 sentence proposal. Again, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself here. All of this will be explained. But the total contract value as of today, this is the upfront contract value. I also have some hourly contractors as well that are still building. So the expected value of these contracts across its lifetime are going to be a lot more as opposed to what they are just upfront. And for everyone, of course, we're an international audience here. We're talking in the reserve currency, the United States dollar here. So when it looks like the investment that I made, $1,000, so 8.5 return times return. And like I said, proposal strategy, just 2 sentences. So that is that. I'm just going to minimize this. Perfect. Right. So you can see the numbers here, last 30 days. So before GigRadar, I was spending 2 hours manually every single day scraping jobs for the past 24 hours. I would find only 1 to 2 qualified jobs because by the time I actually got to these jobs, there'd be 20 plus proposals already on them. And like I said, I was basically scraping jobs 20 hours late due to time zone issues. My company's actually, thanks to GigRadar, a lot of the revenue has come from GigRadar. I've been able to set up my company in California now, so I was over in California at the time working on that, and I will say GigRadar helped me do that. But my point is that the time zone was really giving me issues with trying to apply to contracts in Australia, US, and the UK as well. And if I was lucky, I was averaging about a half a bid every day, because I was feeling burnt out from hardly doing any actual revenue generating work. I had no competitive advantage. I felt like I was spinning my wheels. I was watching opportunities slip away and beginning to think that Upwork was too saturated. In fact, I wasn't beginning to think, I thought it was. Just as you can see here, these are all the jobs that I was basically disapproving from my virtual assistant who would scrape for me once I did get sick of going through the jobs myself. So today, what you'll discover is why perfectionism is keeping you broke on Upwork, the Satisficer model that changed everything for me, how the law of large numbers, genuine mathematic principles became my secret weapon, and the data-driven approach to proposal optimization. Again, that's the exact 2 sentence proposal structure that works. So hang around because I will actually give you the template that I used. And of course, David Goggins would be proud here. I'm going to show you the mindset shift that turns all rejections into revenue. So the Great Guru Radar experiment. I started, like I said, 45 days ago, and the first week that I was getting started, I was basically spoiled for options. I myself am a perfectionist. I feel like unless I'm absolutely totally optimized, I don't want to move ahead. But what I learned on Good Radar changed that. And the first week, I really was showing those perfectionist traits, which are actually negative. I was spending the entire week perfecting my scanner, researching optimal keywords, crafting the perfect proposal template, Ended up sending no proposals, no contracts, got one. And the lesson learned was that perfectionism equals paralysis. But week two, what I decided was let's just launch something, anything. I need to get volume out, right? I wanted to hit a number. I think it was 15 proposals a day. So I just launched a high volume, sloppy campaign, removed picky keyword filters, trusted the law of large numbers, which we'll talk about in a second. And then the result was that data started flowing in, and I was able to optimize my campaign from that. So a lot of people think that they're super smart by being a perfectionist, but realistically, dumb it down and you'll go much further. So that's my advice. And I basically learned this principle from a book called A Man for All Markets. Now, this is Ed Thorpe. He's credited with beating the casinos. He's one of the first hedge fund managers ever, and he's actually credited with creating the first ever wearable computer. And he talks about in his book that you need to be, sorry, this is incorrect. You need to be a satisfizer, not an optimizer, right? And we will talk about that a little more in a second. Don't try and over optimize everything. Just be satisfied with what you got and run from there. So being a satisficer means trusting the process, right? And you can back up the satisficer model further with the law of large numbers that states that as the numbers of trials increases, the actual ratio of outcomes converges on theoretical probability. Now, I don't put that there just to sound smart. I myself hardly know what that means. But in Upwork terms, that means a small sample equals unreliable results. And this is the same for all campaigns, outreach, whether you're doing inbound lead generation or outbound lead generation. You can't actually perfect a campaign if you're not doing a large amount or getting a large amount of sample data, right? You can't get predictable patterns if you don't get a large amount of data back. So your job is to generate enough data to see the real patterns. And my realization was that 10 proposals equals luck, chance, whatever you want to call it, randomness. 100 proposals, trends emerge, and then 500 plus proposals equals a predictable business model. So stop trying to predict individual little outcomes here and there. Start managing the averages, right? And you want to track what actually matters. When I say track the averages, I'm talking about track the cost per reply. That's the first thing that I wanted to start tracking. Obviously, if you're doing a low amount of volume, you're not going to get any meaningful cost per reply. But with GiveGradar, you can very clearly see on their dashboards, which I'll show you a bit later as well, the cost per reply and how you can use it to optimize your campaign. So that is a little bit about some of the metrics that I started to track. We've already spoken about volume metrics, making sure you're actually hitting a certain amount of proposals per day is super, super important. And I'm trying not to let this little kitty cat distract me here, but I'm going to move on so I can keep going. But I think it was Alex Hormozi. I don't know, people credit a lot of quotes to him that I don't think he actually said, but I heard someone say that Alex Hormozi said that people underestimate the amount of volume it takes. And that's not just for an outreach campaign, that's for actually how much volume it takes to even get data back that's meaningful at all. And that's obviously the main point that I just covered. Now, counterintuitive to what I just said, right? Obviously, you want to use the satisficer model to use the law of large numbers to your advantage, right? Getting a large amount of volume. But when it comes to your proposal strategy, my winning two-sentence formula that I told you and I promised you I was going to give you is right here. I genuinely just said, hey, I recently completed a similar project, and you can add a little more detail there as well about what you did. Do you mind if I send you a breakdown of the process? That's it. That's it. People want to over optimize, and we can do a Q&A at the end. You can ask me more about this, but you just need to be specific without overwhelming details, immediately offer value, and it's a low commitment ask. Do you want to see my process? I'm helping you. I'm doing you a favor, right? And it's a conversation starter. People don't know what to reply with if you don't give them some type of rhetorical question, right? A question that, they can't actually answer. So just saying, it makes it easy. They say, yeah, send it over, right? And you'll see the numbers in a second. That gives me a 25% reply rate, a little less sometimes, but we'll talk about different proposals that I've tested. Now, the follow-up options here are that you can actually send a loom as well. When they reply to you, you can just directly pitch a call if it seems urgent, but both approaches convert, right? So sometimes the shortest path is the straightest line. Just get to the point, right? Now, the other aspect that made me, I feel like, successful on Upwork, again, very much due to Gig Radar, was you have to spend money to make money, right? The hard truth is that the Connect investment that I spent over the past 45 days was $1,000 US, right? We spoke about that in the beginning. That might scare you, but trusting the process is much more important, and just understanding that, you need to get that volume in. You need to get it in. And the good part about spending a lot of money, currently I'm probably spending about $50 a day on Connects. And the best part about it is that even if my revenue increases, it still hurts to see that $50 go out every day. So I'm optimizing to the max when it comes to my campaign, or I'm trying to optimize it without, of course, falling into the trap of over optimizing, right? I'm actually getting data back so I can see day by day, and it's forcing me to track things, right? Which is very, very important when you set a schedule to update your campaign each week or each month, in my case. So why most people fail, not willing to invest enough, very, very straightforward. In order to get meaningful data, they panic when metrics dip temporarily. I myself had a situation, which we'll talk about later in the slides, where the last week, the week before this week, my campaigns went to, excuse my language, they went to shit. And I had to really hold my own to think, okay, what worked in the past and what worked now. And people just don't track their numbers. That's why they also panic and, don't end up spending as much money as they should. So the ROI reality is $1,000 on Connects equals an 8.6 return on investment. So $8,600 in contract, just baseline upfront. And more importantly, predictable system established. So I have that established now. And I know exactly how much in Connects I need to spend to produce X amount across a whole month of data, right? Obviously, it's going to be more powerful in 6 months' time when I have more data, more powerful in a year's time. It's a compounding effect again, which is again, like a mathematical marvel. So I should have put Einstein's quote in here about, he who uses compounding interest to their, to their benefit, will go a lot further. And if you don't use compound interest to your benefit, you'll be a victim of it, or something like this. So treat Upwork like a business investment, not a lottery ticket. So how did I refine without breaking? And this is the example here I was telling you about. My campaign hit the wall last week. And I was able to hold my own because I have a very robust monitoring setup that Gig Radar allows me the luxury of, right? I have Gig Radar Slack notifications for real-time job alerts. So I get to see every single job that comes in. Again, I'm not changing my campaign based on what I'm seeing unless I am removing keywords for jobs that I didn't like on the fly. I'm not updating the keywords that I'm pushing on like looking for jobs on Upwork. I'm not updating the proposal. I'm just removing jobs that I don't like to make the scanner more robust without changing the campaign, right? So I track it daily. I see how many bids were sent. I see replies received. I track the cost for reply. I just keep an eye on it. And I anecdotally understand as well, what's going to perform well. Like I said, this is the month of data. This is not 6 months in a year. That's when the compounding effect comes in. But my point is that if I'm spending a lot as well, I'm also making sure I'm monitoring this. You best believe it. So taking it very seriously is obviously important. So the refinement process, month one, I started high volume broad targeting. And I should have included a screenshot of it in here. But I think I sent 288 proposals in the first month. Month two, same proposal structure, higher value projects. So you can see, well, again, I should have included a screenshot, but last month I was doing the spray effect. I was just getting as much as I can. Then I decided to refine the scanner and keep the same proposal structure because I only want to update one thing at a time. Now, maintaining volume while improving the quality of clients is also important. So looking for, updating scanners, adding more scanners and making sure that, you're still hitting that volume every day. I try and hit 15. So I didn't have too much of a problem even when I went for the higher value projects, because like I said, I did 288 proposals the month prior. And, that's a lot more than 15 a day. So, the key learning is don't change multiple variables at once. One small proposal change actually tanked my reply rate 4% as well. So I'll touch on that just in a second. And then focus beats scattered approach. Just have 1 to 2 scanners at once, maximum. As you can see, I have 2 scanners here, and this is the average between them, and the average between them is here too. This was last week. Same scanners, right? 10% reply rate, 7% reply rate. From one proposal tweak, and I'm talking a very, very minimal tweak. You saw my proposal structure before. And if you notice, it's very simple. All I did was add a 3-step breakdown of how I would help the client achieve their goal, and it tanked my reply rate this much, right? So it's hard to believe. And of course, in this scanner, the difference is a lot bigger, and 15% increased. And then this one, it's only this is actually a little out of date. Today it's about 15%, so it is increasing. But it might just tell you that you do need to test maybe different proposal structures for different scanners. Okay. So what 45 days of volume produced? It didn't just, produce a really healthy pipeline. It also freed me up to do some other things as well. But I'll talk about the conversion funnel, 282 proposals, 60 replies, 5 contracts. The contract details, I've already spoken about that here. My vision moving forward, which I'll touch on in a second as well, is about just getting that average deal size larger. And then the hidden benefits, like I said, it wasn't just the healthy pipeline. It was, I get the algorithm boost from just being active. I get, obviously, on Gig Radar, I get, keywords that can actually help me optimize my profile, which is fantastic. And I found having your keywords optimized on your profile will increase your reply rate massively. So do not understate that as well. I don't have that in here, but I just want to say that that is probably the biggest thing you can do to increase your reply rate. You'll rank higher. A better understanding of client psychology, right? I started my agency 6 months ago, and we've been able to use Upwork as a very reliable lead flow platform in order to establish ourselves as well, by just understanding what clients are wanting, right? And then I have confidence, again, from having a system that works. I know how much, if I put in, is how much I get out. And again, I've touched on predictable pipelines. So the other hidden benefit that I want to touch on too, which is about this screenshot, is I've got time freedom. So from 2 hours a day manual scraping, I now spend on sales calls. I have an automated system running 24/7, and this says more time for actual client work, but quite frankly, it's just more time to set up other marketing campaigns. So I'm going to be launching my YouTube channel much more consistently moving forward, because I know that if I have this predictable system, then I can, focus more time on trying to create other higher leverage opportunities. If I'm honest, of course, much larger audience on YouTube than there is on Upwork. So where are others going wrong? I already touched on this a little bit, but I want to really, really drill it in. Some people are going wrong by not letting campaigns run long enough. So you need minimum, absolutely minimum, 2 to 3 weeks of data, especially if you're starting out. I would say even a month. I didn't touch my first scanner for a month before I even changed it at all. If you have been going for 6 months to a year and you have more data, 2 to 3 weeks should be enough, because you've seen it, you've been there, you've done that even anecdotally without the data. But yeah, especially in the beginning, don't panic at early low reply rates. Just tinker one thing at a time, let it run. Use the law of large numbers to your advantage. Changing too many variables at once. I just touched on that. Don't change too many things. My proposal structure change would have been a disaster, right? If I didn't have something to compare it against, right? So it's so important to get the data. And to track the right metrics, super important. There are vanity metrics and there are business metrics. So cost per reply is the number one. It's the number one, because once you've replied to them, you have direct access to them. I don't do this, but you could go to LinkedIn. If you're really, really desperate, call them, find their number, show up at their work, if you really believe you can help them, of course. But my point is that once I've got the reply, that's really what I'm looking for. And I can follow up. So again, the other major part here is satisfying instead of optimizing, getting good enough, and just stop, right? Let it run. And then just have the continuous improvement mindset as well. Let it run, but make sure that you're really, really on top of it, even if you're not tweaking it. Okay. So the last part here is underinvesting in data collection. $50 a month in Connects, obviously, is not going to give you useful data. Even $500 a month is on the low side, but you need volume for reliable patterns. Again, Alex Hormozi quote, whether he said it or not, people underestimate the amount of volume you need. So the methodology that really changed things for me, I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's the optimizer approach versus satisficer approach. Launch imperfect, continuously test and improve, use data to drive decision, and the result is compound growth. Don't this is the wrong text here, but yeah, don't try and over optimize. Don't be a perfectionist or an optimizer. Just really make sure you're getting good enough, and then letting the data do the talking, because you don't know until you don't know. So my my steps here are to teach you, or basically the lessons I want to impart on you, because I think we're getting towards the end here. The things that you want to start this week, if your schedule allows, of course. This is probably pretty important to you if you're on this webinar about driving revenue to your agency through Upwork and potentially Gig Radar if you are already a client or thinking about it. My advice is to launch messy, perfect later, get 50+ bids in week 1, right? Then you can make a decision if you really need to pivot. Track cost per reply, number 1 metric that I look for. Again, once you've got them replied, you've got direct access to them. Reduce proposal length. Test for 100 proposals before changing. Again, people underestimate the volume needed. Send 100 proposals, then tweak. Budget like a business. Give yourself 800 a month minimum in connects. That's really it. And optimize, don't satisfy. So I've harped on it a lot, but your calendar should really look like this until you actually implement this, because it's so high return on investment. And I will say as well, not even monetarily, the fact that I know I've got outreach going out every day and leveraging Gig Radar and their AI features, right? And this is the same for whatever. Obviously, I didn't really touch on it, but I run an AI automation agency. Whenever I'm looking to implement these agents, AI agents or AI integrated software for clients, I'm really looking to give them not just the business benefits, the economic benefits, but also the psychological benefits. I wake up and I know there is someone or something, which is the AI that Gig Radar provides, giving me consistent outreach, right? And as a business owner, I think one of my past clients said, if you don't have a lead problem, you don't have any problem. And I think that's absolutely correct. So really high investment, high return on investment. So what did this experience really teach me? Upwork is a viable client acquisition channel, 100%. But for me, I'll be entirely honest, I'm going to give you an anti-example here. It shouldn't be your only source, right? Treat it as one pillar of your business, because if you get banned off of Upwork, I don't want to be a doomsday prepper here, but if I was banned off of Upwork now, which is why I'm spending so much time on other higher leverage platforms like YouTube, I would be screwed. I would be screwed. So the long-term vision is to use Upwork success to build case studies. Again, understand the consumer psychology in your market. I understand what clients want in the AI solutions space so much better now, right? And I'm leveraging those satisfied clients for referrals. I'm leveraging those portfolios for YouTube videos, and I'm reinvesting the profits into other marketing channels, right? And the goal is to reduce dependency over time while maintaining flow. And if you know Peter Thiel, what did he start? Started PayPal. He's also running Palantir now, one of the most valuable AI companies in the world. He said, if your distribution or your business relies on 20% of a platform or something like this, more than 20%, then you need to diversify. And I think that is so true here. So there's a little anti-example for you. Now, finishing up, some tools to implement. Gig Radar, obviously, for automation and analytics. Slack for real-time job notifications. Like I said, even if I'm not optimizing my campaign, I am monitoring it constantly. All right. And then the community. Join the Gig Radar user community. Share your results and learn from others. Ask questions. Test new strategies. I'm in there every single day. I have my virtual assistant in there too. I have to be on him a lot about joining the community and making sure he's in there asking questions, because he optimizes my campaign, or at least I'm training him to. And he gets questions answered by Kolan, and also I believe the founder is Vadim or something like this, and he gets answers within an hour. It's really great. So I encourage you using this. And I've also found contractors who have helped me with projects on my business too. In here, it's a community full of people, freelancers and agencies that are obviously willing to put their work on their sleeve, because you can't hide things on Upwork, which I think is also why it's a great platform. But if you're in this community, then obviously, you're willing to to do that, which I think is just a show of honesty and respect amongst each other. So, oh, we'll take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. We've got a couple slides left. This is hopefully this is you right now. It's definitely me after going through these slides. Hopefully this is you though, because you're just thinking like, well, either this guy's kind of crazy talking about all these like math principles and stuff, or you're just like, okay, I got a lot to implement. So hopefully that's you're feeling a little bit like Homelander right now. But to finish off, connect with me, send me an email. I'm in the community quite a lot. A lot of you probably already seen me in the community. I post on LinkedIn, and YouTube is where I'm going to be spending most of my time moving forward, now that I have this predictable campaign on Upwork. So subscribe to me there. And yeah, we can just connect and we can talk. I'm happy to yeah, continue to build my name within the industry. So again, taking a deep breath, and I think I'll stop sharing my screen now and we can go through a little Q&A session, I think, Colin.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was both informative and very insightful webinar session. And you are a pretty good speaker as well, where I personally really enjoyed this webinar and your speech. That was awesome. Great. Thank you very much. And
I
I'm
appreciate
really
it.
happy with your success using eGrader. That's huge. Yeah, and now we can move to the Q&A session. I can see here in the chat a couple questions that are coming up. Um, yeah, people are saying two-sentence proposals, like that's really great. From Igor, I'm not sure if I pronounce it right correctly. I'm sorry. What niche are you in, Toby? Do you think it's worth testing out regardless of the niche?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, I've just tried to optimize my campaigns to more sophisticated clients, i.e. people that are actually spending um more on the platform. So not just that, but also people that are willing to spend more too. Again, I'm still in my second month, so learning a lot more, but I think it's 110% worth it, because you got to put yourself in the client's shoes, right? And even myself, I'm starting to hire now, so I understand this maybe a little more, especially as I'm scaling an agency. Some people will be freelancers here too, but I understand that if someone says, "Hey," and they're being honest, that they've just completed a similar project, and they give me a little bit of a spiel, and they say, "Hey, can I'm going to send you a loom," basically. I'm going to ask for that loan. I just know it, because I instantly get to see their face. They're willing to put they're willing to put their work on their sleeve. It's obviously a play on words. It's heart and sleeve, but it definitely tests it out. I do believe that you will see it perform better for some scanners and campaigns than others. I myself have a scanner for automation jobs, right? Obviously, it's a growing industry with AI agents, and I have it for a full stack development scanner or campaign as well. And it seems that the agents are working a lot better than the full stack stuff. So I got to make a decision off that data at the end of the month. But hopefully that answers your question.
Great. And the second question from Igor as well. How much time
Yep.
do you spend per week working on your gig rate optimization Upwork?
It's a great question. So I probably spend more time than I would care to admit monitoring. I just love looking at the dashboard, and I flick between it multiple times per day. And when it comes to actually touching it, I tell my virtual assistant, I say, dude, if you see me touching it, change it back. Right. So I've got that fail safe there, first of all. But I already know, it's because I let it run. So for example, the start of this week, I had just switched back to my old proposal template, that two-sentence template. And I said to my virtual assistant, don't let me touch it. And that was on Sunday night. And then Monday, I check it and I want to change it. I tell him, hey, I want to change it. He says, I'm just going to change it back. So I say, okay, let's just let it run until Sunday is when I do my changes. And funnily enough, the campaign started to perform really well. I didn't touch it. So when it comes to how much time I spend a week working on my gig rate optimization, same thing. My virtual assistant on Sunday, he tells me the keywords I need to update my profile with, and I'll do that too. Again, keywords are very important. But to get really down to the point, I probably spend about 5 hours a week, which is it's a lot, but it's just the investment that I see is required now until I have more data, right?
Cool. Yeah, that's great. The next one question is from Chase, I think. How to scale when you have new clients? Like, do you do the communication with your clients and attract the fact that you have a team working a project, or do you let the clients know upfront that your team will be working on the project? I ask this because I have an agency myself, and I have fear of opening up to the client that the team will be working on it, mostly because they hired me for the job due to my profile.
This is a really good question, and I think it's honestly something I still struggle with. But I think I have a very pragmatic solution to it, which is um, in the beginning, I did lie about not having team members. I did, I'll be honest. But that has caused me more problems than it has solved, right? Because a team member will log in from Washington, but I'm working with a client based in Gold Coast, Australia, right? And they say, hey, you told me you didn't have developers or you were planning on it or something. Like I told them a lie, right? And then they get suspicious and the reputation gets damaged. Reputation is everything in this space for sure. And from moving ahead, I, when I, let's just say, when I ask the prospect when I'm submitting a proposal, do you want to see the process? In that process that I send them, I mention that I have a team. I mention that I have a team. So at least anyone that replies to me past that point is aware that I have a team. And if I'm sending a loom to them or something like this, I say I run an agency. That's what I say. I'll be honest, I think it does decrease my closing rate. I really think it does. Because they think that I'm passing on costs to them, which obviously I have a margin, but I maybe I need to do a better job of explaining economics to them. But I definitely think the the pros outweigh the cons. Just being honest is so much easier. And quite frankly, I know, maybe you need a client or something right now, but long-term clients are who you want. And if they're not happy with you having an agency, then I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about them, man, at all.
Mhm. Thank you very much. Um, Alex says share your YouTube link as well. Can you share your YouTube link in the chat?
Yeah, I just dropped it in.
Okay, okay, great. How to join the community? Okay, I have just sent the link. Thanks a lot for all the knowledge, man. Yeah, that was definitely a great session. Um, okay. There is interesting some works, but might be useful to send it after they reply. I think that was a follow-up message to the answer from Igor. The next one
Igor.
is, what's the fee to join the community? It's for free. It's absolutely free. I'm gonna get a virtual assistant network and convert up to get words later and get gigs anymore after client to will get feedback and message from the clients. What can I do? Any
Very
suggestions?
simple. Very, very simple. Give them an easy give them an easy option, right? If you say to someone, hey man, how you going? What are they going to say? They're going to say good. It's it's a very boring ended conversation, but if you give them an open-ended question or you try my method of just saying, do you want to see the process? It gives them something to actually bite onto, right? You're giving them something to hold onto, and it's a very simple way to improve your reply rate. Um, maybe you're already doing this, I'm not sure, but test different things because that's what's going to increase your reply rate for sure. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Um, is there a minimum and maximum budget range that Upwork clients are generally comfortable proceeding with when working with agencies?
It's interesting. After this month, I'm definitely going to probably drop my campaign's budget filters because I have signed, $4,000 plus deals on Upwork, and especially with Gig Radar, I signed a 4,000 deal from a client that I think like the minimum hourly rate that they were willing to spend was like $20 and their max was like 100. So I signed a big deal with them, and I haven't actually seen. Funnily enough, I've seen the people that are willing to spend more are actually less serious. Again, I don't know because I'm going to look at the data at the end of this month, which is in a couple days. But if I go back over the question, is there a minimum maximum budget range? Um, no, no. Honestly, I think whoever does the gig radar courses, he said when you're setting up your scanner, don't worry about putting a minimum budget or anything like this. He said it doesn't correlate to how much they're willing to spend or something. And I definitely saw that in my first scanner. I definitely saw that. In my first campaign, I had like $15 an hour minimum rate when my hourly rate's like $65 or $70. And I still got projects. But when I've had it higher, I've actually found clients are a little more hesitant, I think. But again, it's anecdotal. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, yeah, great. Let's move on. How do you pre-qualify leads after they apply? Do you qualify them in the chat to save time, or do you call at some stages?
I actually don't qualify them. I just get on the call. For example, I had a call today with a prospect who was still working. For example, he wasn't an entrepreneur. He was working a finance job and he wanted to build an app. And when I told him my price, he then asked me if I wanted to partner with him. And obviously I'm running my own agency, so of course I don't want to do that, especially to a guy I just met. But it has made me think how I can weed out these leads. But honestly, you just got to take every opportunity you can get because you never know. You really never know. I've had clients that seemingly have no budget and they end up actually being the owner of like a big mining company or something like this. Right.
Great. Rocky, how hands-on is the process after having a created Upwork script opportunity sent your way? How much time and effort goes into customizing and personalizing each proposal, or is it pretty rinse and repeat?
Okay, I actually went to high school with Rocky, so that's interesting that he's left a little question in there. So Rocky, my response to you uh, is no, it's very hands off. Once the gig radar has scraped the Upwork opportunity, you can set up an auto bidder, so it'll auto bid for you. And when it goes to customizing and personalizing each proposal, you can actually set it as a template and it doesn't use AI, or you can use AI and, for example, my template will actually be a prompt. So my proposal is actually a prompt for the AI to um, write the proposal with. So hopefully that helps you out, Rock.
Okay. Again, from Prithvi, I've received some initial responses, but after sharing our course details, the client stopped responding. What do you do in this cases, situations?
Um, I mean, I guess my question would be, are you getting on calls? Um, if you, yeah, it depends if you're getting on calls. So let's say you take the call and then you send the proposal. I just follow up. Like I genuinely give myself the permission to follow up until I get a response. So I've had people on Upwork that I had calls with 6 months ago, right? 4 months before Gig Radar. I still hit them up nearly every day because they just ghosted me, right? Like I pitched like a $6,000 deal or something. I know they have the money. I know they're ready, but I follow up every day. And I've had reactivated leads that have bought um, many times. I mean, I'm working through a guy right now who he replies to me. It's a AI agent build for his creative agency. We got on a call a month ago, and every week he gets on around Sunday and he says, yeah, I'm ready to move ahead. What's the next step? And we just keep moving one step ahead every week, but I'm following up every single day. So give yourself the permission to follow up. Use some calibrated questions as well. If you want to get really good at following up in a non-salesy way, Search up calibrated questions. There's a really good book by Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference, where instead of saying something like, "Hey, are you there?" or something, like I get that from freelancers all the time when I'm trying to hire, just say, "Have you given up on this project?" Right? Because people want to say, "No, no, no, of course not." Right? So try and bait them into a response. Yeah, that's the best way to go about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, from Prithvi, I have done some manual bits and PVR is 50% and LRR is 0. Using degraded, the PVR is 13.77 and LRR is 4.14%. Can you explain how it works? Good question.
It could be a lot of different factors, man. I think, it depends the proposal competition. So maybe manually bidding, you're doing something that is getting you more uh visible. And maybe on Gig Radar, your keywords aren't as optimized for what the scanner you have set up is. Now, the reply rate being higher, again, it could just be a different proposal. That's simple as as that. But the profile view rate is attached to multiple different factors, whereas the lead reply rate is also a separate thing. So try and break down what you were doing before and then reverse engineer from there. Because that's what I did with my campaign, where you literally saw my reply rate dropped 15%. So yeah, go from there.
Can you please share more about the prompt you're using for GigRader AI? You mentioned that to sentences version converts. Do you ask to add something on top of this, or how do you tailor this?
You mentioned the two sentences version converts. Do you ask to add something on top of this, or how do you tell this? It is. I'll be very blunt. It just is what it is. It's a two-sentence proposal. That's it. And I just say that I completed a similar project, and would they like to see the process? My advice to you is anything that has worked in any other campaign, in any other format, whether it's email, LinkedIn, it's going to work on Upwork, right? It's psychology hasn't changed for, thousands of years or whatever you want to call it. So people still get triggered by the same things. Yeah, again, I'll be very blunt. It's just it's a two-sentence proposal, and you just got to figure out what people bite for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. We have only 10 minutes left, so yeah, let's go with the last questions. How do you optimize your profile if you do? And if yes, how often? Have you found email leads being more basically qualified, I think, than the applied ones? Maybe some correlations you observed.
I don't get any invites ever. So I'm not sure. I used to get, so when I actually used to do 30 proposals a day manually 3 years ago when I first started on Upwork and I had a social media marketing agency. I used to get invites every day from really qualified prospects. I don't get touched by invite. I haven't had an invite in 2 years. So no, I don't get more. How often do I optimize my profile though? I optimize my keywords every week. So I just get a report from my VA and I update my keywords based on the scanners advice. So that's why I also like having just one or two scanners, because I can update the profile accordingly. And outside of that, man, I just add portfolio pieces too. So keeping the portfolio fresh is quite important. Probably once a month I try and do.
Thank you. We were discussing more about the scanners and optimizations, but do you have any suggestions on freelancer profile?
Keywords, portfolio, and your about section and title. That's the order that I would go in. I think and I want to reiterate as well, it's super important to be reading every blog from Gig Radar too. Like you have Tamara in there, who is just insanely good at what she does. And anytime I think I saw an article she wrote recently, and she said they genuinely see no correlation between keywords in your title and ranking. And I can say that for a fact it's true. I was looking for a video editor yesterday. By the way, if anyone is a editor in here, please reach out to me. I need help. But when we're talking about the titles, I went on look for a video editor, and some of the titles that these people had were terrible. It was literally genuinely like video editor. But then I looked at their keywords, and it could have been by accident. And I looked at their portfolio again, could have been by accident, but they were really optimized. So take from that what you will.
Thank you. And I assume this is the last question from JK. If I close contract from my side because of inactivity or no more work from client can affect my JSS score.
I don't know. I actually have an inactive. No, I closed a few contracts. I closed 2 contracts recently that were sitting, and the client just hadn't replied in a while. We had more projects planned for both of them, and they just weren't replying, so I just closed it. I also have another project right now that is with just like a really, really terrible client that I wanted to close. But I'm gonna complete it, get the review, but then uh yeah, I'm just gonna stick it out. But if I wanted to remove it, I would just refund them the money that they had paid me, so that I don't get the bad review if I do. What's it called? Because the bad review to me is worth a lot more in lost money than what it would get me from just one contract, if that makes sense. So
Great. Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you very much, guys, for your questions.